Well. We had some mandatory pit stops. We had a Ferrari DNF before the race even started, and we had some teammate controversy early in this race. That's right. In the words of David Croft, Spain 2016, the two Mercedes come together. Yes, Mercedes fans relive the trauma of that 2016 race between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, but in this case, it was not necessarily championship impacting. They're not going to win either championship. Max Verstappen clinched his third driver's title yesterday. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Red Bull Constructors Championship was clinched last week. But no, this would be more for the P2 and the Constructors impact. But into turn one, Mercedes, good weekend so far, at least for the Grand Prix side of things. Qualified second and third, looking good, looking like they could maybe double podium, or maybe if they had the pace for it, contend for a win. Maybe that's a stretch. Verstappen's in another world. Let's just say double podium for now. So going into turn one, Verstappen got a good start. He was able to clear off Russell. The two Mercedes were side by side going into turn one. Russell was going to try to make a move on the outside of Verstappen, and then to the outside of him was his teammate Lewis Hamilton, and they touch. They both go spinning off the racetrack. Hamilton's tire goes flying off the car, and Hamilton is beached in the gravel. Russell able to continue on and actually had a really good performance that we'll talk about here in a minute once again. But the teammates crashing, and Hamilton's out. Russell, both of them come on the radio. Hamilton says, "I've just been wrecked by my teammate." Russell says, "I can't believe this has happened," blah, 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 blah. They're talking on the radio, heat of the moment, all that stuff. Well, looking back at the replay, Hamilton kind of pinched him. Once again, it's a racing incident, so nothing intentional, nothing dirty. It's just lap one of an F1 race, turn one, these things happen. And it looked like Hamilton was trying to make just an overly aggressive move, I want to say. He was trying to get as much ground as he could, maybe try to go three wide for the lead into turn two if they could all hold it. But it was a bit optimistic from him, I think, and he ended up taking responsibility. He watched the replay after the race, his post-race interview, and even a social media post. He took responsibility for the crash, saying that, it was his fault. So, pretty open and shut case. No real controversy like 2016, where it was, did Nico do it? Did Lewis do it? Who's at fault? But overall, still a disaster for Mercedes. But they were able to recover it a bit. So let's go through the results. I'm currently watching a NASCAR race at the same time that I'm going to do a race recap for once that's over. So I'm multitasking, my brain's in about 4 different places. Anyways, Max Verstappen, your winner. He clinches his third Drivers' Championship this weekend. He actually clinched it at the sprint yesterday. Sorry for not doing a video then. I was doing things, I was busy. But anyways, Verstappen, no shock that he clinched his third driver's title pretty quickly in the season. We knew that it was going to be a third world championship for Max Verstappen. He's been insane this year. He has been out of this world, winning races by large margins, winning races that they've had issues in. I mean, you name it, he's done it. The last 2 years have been extremely dominant, and even 2021, when he had that close battle with Lewis Hamilton, there were times that he looked this dominant. So we're in the Max Verstappen era. We've been in it for a while. He clinches his third title. The rest is just extra bonus trophies at this point. So I don't know what win number that is for him. He's getting close to 50, though. He's getting close to Prost and Vettel on the all-time wins list. He's killing it this year. Another double podium for McLaren. Oscar Piastri picks up his career-high finish of second place. Lando Norris finishes third. Piastri got his first career podium last week at Japan, or last race at Japan, and Lando Norris able to complete that podium. Another podium for him. Once again, I think I said this in the Japan race recap, but what a year for McLaren. I mean, seriously, think about it. That first weekend, they were terrible. What did they finish? 16th and 18th? Everyone thought they were done for. Everyone's saying they're going to finish last in the constructors. They have all this talent behind the wheel, but they give him the worst car possible. Should have trusted the process, I guess, because, oh my goodness, what a turnaround for McLaren. They're fighting for 4th in the constructor standings. They've got a double podium on their hands now. Both their drivers, including one, Piastri, who is a rookie, has 2 podiums on the season. Norris has multiple podiums on the season. McLaren, what a turnaround for them once again. They are killing it. For the long-term future, they are looking very good right now. But once again, a great performance by both drivers with all the situation. We haven't even talked about the tire situations. It was required that 18 laps, that was the maximum amount of laps you were allowed to run on a tire, because it was a new surface and the curbs were so extreme and so rigid that they were killing the tires. It was eating up the tires so much. We didn't see any big tire failures, thankfully, but that it could have been possible if they had run more than 18 laps. That the sidewalls, I think they said the structural integrity was compromised or something. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but Pirelli just didn't want to take any risks. They didn't want to risk anything. And the strategy aspect made it a little bit more interesting for sure. Everyone having to do 3 or 4 pit stops. It made the order very weird at times in this race. Like at one point, Albon was leading, Verstappen was second, Zhou Guanyu was third, but oops. Sorry, I stopped in the middle of recording. I didn't realize it was in the middle of the screen. Anyways, point being, no one really knew what was going to happen with these tires, and with all the different strategies, it really shuffled up the order. You had to pit within an 18-lap window and just really shuffled everything up and made things weird. But, of course, we still got Max Verstappen win. But once again, a double podium for McLaren. Great for them. George Russell, after lap 1, I thought he was done. Like, I thought he was going to not finish. Mercedes was going to be in shambles. But George Russell put together maybe one of his best races. All the way in the back on lap 1 after a crash with his teammate. Comes back in difficult conditions. Many of the drivers complaining about the conditions. Just, it's nothing they can control. It's hot in Qatar. It's a difficult circuit. It's humid. Like, there's a lot of things going on that they can't control. It's just a very physically difficult race for these drivers. And George Russell rallied in this race, made a lot of passes, made his way back through the field. A great race for him. And once again, that crash, not his fault. And he rallied, and he got his team some much-needed points, because after lap 1, it was looking like Mercedes could lose a lot of points in this race, but George Russell came back, rallied, and got himself some points in this race. 5th place, Charles Leclerc, good race for him, good points for him. Just started about where he finished. Nothing really noteworthy on his day. 6th place, Fernando Alonso could have finished maybe a little bit better, had made a couple of mistakes today, started up in 4th, was up into 3rd at one point, but I just don't think they had the speed. And then once they were getting pressured from behind, Alonso just made a mistake, went into the gravel, lost a couple of positions, and just couldn't get back close to him again. So 6th place for Fernando Alonso, 7th place Ocon, 8th place Bottas, 9th place Zhou Guanyu. What a day for Alfa Romeo. They've really struggled this year, but a very good race for double points for that team. Is great to see Bottas and Zhou both in the points. 10th place Sergio Perez got a 5-second penalty there at the end. He got multiple penalties in this race for track limits. Started from the pit lane. Solid drive from him. Once again, that Red Bull's so fast, and it's been a disappointing season for Perez. 2nd place in the standings is under threat still, even though he did outgain Hamilton by a point here. But he tried. 11th, Lance Stroll. 12th, Pierre Gasly. 13th, Albon. 14th, Magnussen. 15th, Tsunoda. 16th, Hulkenberg. 17th, Lawson. 18th, Logan Sargent. Did not finish. Had an issue. Just wasn't feeling well in the car. As I said, very difficult conditions physically for these drivers, and Sargent just wasn't feeling well. So it just made sense for him not to finish the race. We care about the driver's safety more than anything. So hopefully he is okay. Hopefully whatever it is he's dealing with, he can recover from. But unfortunate day for Sargent. 19th, Lewis Hamilton, as I said, did not finish this race after a lap 1 crash. And once again, he did take the blame for that crash. 20th, Carlos Sainz did not even start this race after a fuel system issue that they discovered before the race. They tried their hardest to get it fixed, but about 30 minutes before lights out, Ferrari made it official. Sainz would not start the race. So that is your recap for the Qatar Grand Prix. And yeah, I got to get to the NASCAR race here. I'm not going to make this outro super long, but thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of the race. Next race in the United States of America, Austin, Texas.